This is Twit.
Well, tonight is a night so many of you have been waiting for. The Pine Board project has exploded. It's really great to see so many people building. And I did it modularly because we have other plans for the power supply, other plans for the preamp. And we went all through that. But what we haven't talked about, and I held it in not in suspense, I just didn't want you to get ahead. We wanted to make sure everything was going along. And we're going to go back and review each one. This is not a month project. It's going to go on for a long time. But tonight, so many of you have asked to see the transmitter. Well, there it is. Isn't it beautiful? That is a transmitter that's different from where we started. We started with a single 12AU7, and we might go revisit that. However, the situation with that particular transmitter is it's really a modulated oscillator. And here it is. It's quite simple and very cool, but it only puts out about a watt. And we might do it just because it's so much fun to build. It's so easy to build. And that's kind of a little fun thing to do. Well, the thing we're really looking at seriously is this guy. This guy is an ECO, electron-coupled oscillator, and it's controlled by this wonderful set of tubes. The 6AG7 is a metal tube and used in the final of many transmitters in the early days. And then we use a 6V6 and a Heil modulation form to modulate that. And we'll get into how this works. I'm going to try in a week or two to start getting into how all of this goes together. But this is the transmitter that'll do about 4 watts easily. And I also have a switch on it. We're going to do that later for another thing, but it's all there. Crystal is on 3885 here, but this will work really well on 40 meters. And how you do that is like we did it in many of the old day transmitters. You'll notice the coil, and the really neat thing about this coil comes from MFJ, and we have to thank them for what they're doing. That is the final in one of their transmitters. And the situation with that final is that we are able to have, I think there's 41 turns, but we're tapping it, and we have this little clip, and we go in and do that and clip it on here. And now you see what we're doing is we're shorting out all of the rest of the coil, and all the tubes see is this guy. And so we go in there, we clip it together, and we're only working with that, and it works great on 40 meters. That's the band switch. Now you can take that further. You can actually put a band switch. That's all that happens. But the rest of it is really simple and very, very cool. And it'll be easy to build. And I've built a couple of them. And then Richard, our mentor and great inspirator, W0BVT, this is one of his designs. He's built, I don't know how many of them, but he's built them that we can all live with. It's very simple. Let me get over here and do this for you so you can see what's happening. We'll dial up the other camera. And here is a shot of the complete schematic. And thanks to Gene, WD4IG, there we get that right, WD4IQN, Gene does marvelous work. And there you have the complete schematic. And the crystal here, the 6AG7, oscillator final. There you saw the little shorting clip that we can make this either 40 or 80. And we did this in a simple L, not a pi, so that we only need one of the variable capacitors. And we can get into that later, just add a little bit more to it. And then the audio comes from that preamp we already built, comes into the 6V6, and the 6V6 then is modulating the screen, and that gets really good audio. The 4 Henry 50 mil choke works great. It's small, but it works well. We don't draw more than 50 mils with it. But all of these parts are available, and you'll be able to see these on the site. Here is how it all works out. And just a beautiful drawing that Gene has done. And you'll be able to copy that drawing, and you'll have everything there that you need as far as how it is put together. The layout is so simple. And along with that, why we do this for you. Because we're doing pine board, you need to take the 8-pin octal sockets, turn them upside down, and wire them. We did that on the preamp, if you remember. We did that on the power supply. It's a very easy way to build things. And you can just compare those parts with the layout and the schematic. And you can see really easy how it all goes together. And that's why I'm doing the pine board, because I want you to learn a little more about some of the circuitry. That is very important to me personally. I want you to come away from this project learning how these things work. George has done an amazing job. If you haven't seen some of that live here, go to the website, heilsound.com, HEILSOUND. Go all the way to the bottom, and there's an entire section about the pine board. All of the video clips are there. Really thrilled, and I thank you, Brian. I know it's a lot of work. He takes out just these little 10-minute and 12-minute segments that we do, and they're on that website. But here you can see what's happening. This is the 6AG7, and just go through and follow all of the parts and do this upside down, and then that will just lay on top of the chassis or the pine board at this point. It works really good, and it's easy to do it that way. So what you want to do is follow along with this. And here's a very important part. And if we don't do anything more tonight, this is it. This is the complete parts list, and not only just the parts list, but where all of these parts are coming from. And Gene has so neatly put all of these down here. A comes from SND tube sales. B, that's the tube sockets, and there's the part number from Antique Electronics. The standoff, I just was there yesterday. Lowe's has the standoff. Go into their, all those beautiful drawers they have, into their automotive section, and you can find the standoffs. I'll put it back up in a minute, and I'll show you what we mean by what we need for the standoffs. But all of those parts are here. And there's two parts that are very important that are not carried by Antique, and that happens to be the choke, the 2.5 millihenry choke, and that's available from Radio Daze, D-A-Z-E. And last but not least, thank you so much, MFJ. This is the part number. Now, it's not in their catalog, but it's online. Or you can call them, give them this number. This is a special Ham Nation number. That's what the .1 or the -1 tells the order department what that is. And it's very inexpensive. We're so thrilled they did that. And then there's an alligator clip from them too. So I hope you can copy that down, get that on your screenshot. But go to heilsound.com. We'll have this back up in a day or so, and you can get that all going. And while you're at MFJ, I advise you to look at this device and purchase it. It's really cool. It's a QRP watt meter and SWR bridge. It's good for about 5 watts, maybe a little more actually, but get it. Because a regular SWR and power meter that's 100 watts, you'll never see it. This is really good for tuning the rig. We'll get into that in a few weeks when we fire it all up and show you, but we're giving you all the things you need to have in your inventory to build the Pine Board transmitter with the 6AG7 and the 6V6. So there is the parts list complete. There are the 2 tube sockets laid out. There is the complete layout. What a beautiful thing Gene has done here, WD4IQN. And that's how they're laid out. Now, let's take that layout, and we're going to put this down here. And I'll turn it the way the layout shows, and you can see just how that works. I got to switch cameras. This is not NBC, and it's not as slick as the Twit network in Petaluma. It's ham radio at its best, I'm telling you. But there it is. The transmitter is laid out just as the layout is here. As you can see, here's the variable capacitor. Here's the crystal. Here's the 6AG7. Isn't that cool how Gene has done that? And it's so easy to build. Now, you're going to need the little solder. Let me see if I can get a really good picture of that. You're going to need those tie lugs. You can see we've got the 2 of those used for the crystal. Oh, come on here, get it on there. There you go. And there's several others too out there, and that's what these guys are. So you want to get the tie lugs, and all of that parts, they're all on the parts list. But that's what's happening. That's so important for you. There's the schematic. If you want to copy down the schematic, and there again, do a shot with the a screenshot with the replay, and you'll have everything you need. Schematic is great, and I appreciate Gene so much. He's really done some great work. And this will get you all set up and going. And all you need is a soldering iron and tools and time. And we'll go through this and keep reviewing in a couple of weeks. Maybe we'll get her all set up to fire up for you, because we will be able to do that. But I think it's going to be a fun project for you. I can tell you this, that Richard and I, in the mornings, we are on 3885 with the MOCAM group. That's Missouri, Kansas AM group. And we have a lot of fun working a couple of 100 miles with just a few watts on AM. And who knows where it goes from here. I can tell you in the back of my mind, we're thinking about building a 6146 final, maybe get us 30, 40 watts. So that's all down the line. That's why I did it modularly, so we can take all of these things and just add on. I have other plans for the preamp. We'll make us an audio amp and build you a little hi-fi system or whatever. But it's really refreshing to see so many start. And one of the starts is you have to go to Hobby Lobby and you have to buy that piece of pine board. That's a cool deal. And they have this bare wood. And here I took their bare wood, and I first stained it, and then I varnished it, and it's real pretty under there. You don't have to do that, but we did. And we have lots of other little things we'll tell you, a very unique way of mounting, like the coax connector. How do you do that? Because you can't drill a hole like in a chassis. We did it with that number 14 wire, and just all other kinds of little tricks we did. But we'll tell you this as we go along. I just want to, there's a lot of information tonight, but there again, you'll be able to go back to heilsound.com and down in the bottom of the pages, past all of the microphones and all that, the Pine Board Project, and all of the videos are there, and we're adding them all the time. And you can have comments, and we try to answer all the questions. So I think that pretty much tells us where we're going with this project, and I hope that all of you get involved. I got some pictures. I'm sorry I didn't have time. I just drove in, as I said a while ago, and I got some nice pictures from Virginia. She's got all of her parts laid out. She's ready to go, and she's built the initial project here. If you hadn't seen that, it's a nice thing to start with. She built a field strength meter, and she did a beautiful job. I'll show it to you next week. But that's what's happening here in the station lab, and I'm having more fun than a kid in the carnival. So